Yeah, meeting Arnold Schwarzenegger was a dream come true. It was Arnold. Everyone knows who he is, and every bodybuilder looks up to him in his career. So to meet him, I met him first time 2016. It was my debut at the Arnold Classic, and I actually won. I won my debut at the Arnold. Another dream come true. But backstage was the first time I met him. Took his hand out. His hand was like a bear. I'll never forget, like a big bear claw, and just shook my hand, told me you look amazing, and then brought me on stage. And after I won, did a quick interview with me. But that was it. He's too famous for me, bro. He just does his thing on stage and then it's off. But for him to just compliment me was all I needed to keep going. I've probably met all of my bodybuilding idols. I'll say my top three were Jay Cutler, Flex Wheeler, and I'll say Flex Lewis, just because they took bodybuilding to a whole nother league where they didn't have to depend on competing on stage. They were able to make a career off stage, and that's something that I admire and am inspired by. To bodybuilding is just a platform, but it's more to bodybuilding. There's more to this sport than just getting on stage. It's about affecting people. It's about progression. It's about making yourself better. So a lot of those guys that I've looked up to that I just named are guys that I want to be like. I aspire to be like, to have that mentality. Always treat your fans nicely. Always shake hands. Always, never say no to anybody, because people look up to us, and you don't know what that moment means for somebody. So it's always good to just say hi, take a picture, all those things. That's one of the things I've learned from my idols. One of the probably most memorable, special moments in my career was actually getting to train with Ocho Cinco. He had actually been a fan after I won my first title, and I remember he was tweeting my name. He was just making jokes about he would be the next Mr. Olympia. How does he look next to Mr. Olympia, Brandon Hendrickson? So he was tagging me in his tweets, and so that started, like, I was obviously getting hyped. And then eventually he came to Chicago, and he came to one of my gyms, and we trained. Being around Ocho Cinco, I think the one thing that I learned is outside of the sports. It's more about the personality and how he was so humble, how famous and how big he is. He never acted like that. He would go to the gym, he'd go to an export here in Chicago and act like a normal person. When people came up to him, shook their hand, took their picture, and kept it moving. So, like, those kind of things is what I aspire to be as I get wiser and older in the sport. I think the greatest reward of bodybuilding is not about competing. It's about how many people's lives you affect, because you can only compete for this amount of time. There's only a short time span that you have for competing at a high level, and people don't remember that. I don't remember Jay Cutler from winning 4 titles. You don't remember Arnold from winning 7 titles. You remember how these people made you feel, how these people interacted with you, how they touched different people. So I think one of the biggest things, most important things for me is outside of bodybuilding is having an effect and having an impact on other people's lives. Um, and the con of bodybuilding is probably you don't make no money. No money. There's no money in this sport. There's no money on stage. If you get into this sport, you have to do it because you love it and you love competing, you love being better. It's about progression. It's about being better. So don't ever depend on making money or making a career out of bodybuilding. Bodybuilding just gives you a platform for you to build the rest of your life off of. So that's what I'm doing now. As far as diversity in the sport, it has gotten better. As far as getting more people of color winning shows and being representatives and being put on flyers and marketing, it's gotten better, but you still see it, unfortunately. You still see, even now, me being the champion, they kind of highlight other champions that don't look like me. And they kind of put them more on the billboards, use them more for being the representative of the sport, even though I'm a champion also. But at the same time, it doesn't affect me in any way because I still do what I have to do. I'm still representing the sport the way I want to represent it, and I still affect people's lives the way I want to affect people's lives. So even though there's still a lack of diversity somewhere in the sport, doesn't stop me or my goals or my dreams. Yeah, I think one thing that keeps me like positive is just knowing that there's only one step from the limo to the gutter, and just because you're on top doesn't mean you're gonna stay at the top. So I always remember that, and I always remember where I come from. My family I didn't come from money, no handouts, no assistance. I did everything that I had to do on my own and with support of my family and my hard work. That's it. So I don't forget, where I come from, Chicago, Inglewood. Statistically, I'm not even supposed to be here by now. So I don't play with this career. This is a privilege. I look at it as a privilege. I'm privileged to be here, so I don't play around with that. I don't get involved with drama. I do what I have to do, get my job done, and show it on stage. Less talk, more work.